Hello. We are going to see the quality control in building process in a structure at floors unit. The structure are divided in those main units, just the structure at pillars and the structure at floors units. Today we are going to study the floors execution. First of all, we have to study and review our project. It's very important to make a little study and analysis of the details who are going to be in appliance of our unit. In this case, the floor has to be defined and completely explained in our plan, and we have to study and review this before to begin with the building process. The materials reception is very important to take care about the characteristics we have to ask to each of them. That's a technical reception in the way we are going to ask the characteristics obligatory to each material and the tests that we are going to make to control each of it. The previous operations has a reference about the tools that the specifications we are going to follow just begun the reframing. Reframing is very important in this unit because the reframing takes care about the minimum distance between each floor. The distance is very important to take care because then we are going to put on paving, we are going to put on the ceiling, and we have to control the minimum distance between each floor. The steel forms are an auxiliary structure we are going to put on behind the floor in order to support it during the process, the building process. So this structure has to be defined in the project, define the props, define the numbers, define the positions, and the weight it has to be in support. Steel forms, unfortunately, are not always in all cases for all the surface. In some cases we can find the steel forms or wood forms, in this case for beams and perimeter beams, and we have only net in the middle area where prefabricated elements are going to be. Steel forms includes too the vertical perimeter form that will support and will make the width of the floor. Prefabricated elements are the first element you are going to put on in the floor. Prefabricated elements are divided in both. Just one is resistant prefabricated elements and non-resistant prefabricated elements. They both have to be together at the same time because we are going to control the parallel between each of the prefabricated beams, just putting on at the beginning on the end. That's the little balls, the little floor tiles, concrete floor tiles, that will guarantee to us the same position between the beginning and the end of the parallel beams. Prefabricated elements has to be closed by one face, but not made by hands. It has to be completely closed by the factory, and we have to control this in order to be sure the concrete during the process of the floor in the beams will not go inside to these elements that the function is just to alleviate, to reduce the weight of the floor. The reinforcement has to be divided at the same time in two parts. By one hand, we have to reinforce the beams of the floor, and by another hand, we are going to reinforce the floor. Reinforcement at beams just taking control about the diameter, the position, the possibility of oxidation, and all the controls we have to take care about these elements. The reinforcement in floors unit just take about the negative reinforcement and the areas with maximum negative tension. In other case, we have to control too the compressive steel just to reinforce this area of the floor. Reinforcement has to take care of a general view like this one, just reinforcement at beams, perimeter beams, and just the reinforcement in the floor, just negative reinforcement, and just the square or a steel net for compressive area at the floor. Reinforcement has to be controlled very well. Before to concreting, we don't upset, we will reject these cases like in the side, this picture you can see. The reinforcement has to be completely straight and completely following the detail of the project. But by another hand, you don't let the prefabricated elements with a irregular line. You have to control this, and it has to be very regular and very okay following the prescriptions of the project. If not, it's not possibility to upset this unit. The previous verifications before concreting are important too, in order to control the resistance, and the props are completely fixed and are ready to resist the heavy of the concrete, the fresh concrete. Concrete receptions mean our technical concrete reception in order to take care about the concrete who is coming, just control the times, the resistance, the consistency, and all the specifications we are going to control following the obligated norms. Tests of concrete are obligated in all reinforced structures, reinforced concrete structures, so we have to control by tests just according to a laboratory. Put on the concrete, just a very important unit. It's recommended just to concrete in the floor in one day. If it's possible, don't try to make joints and just concrete in one day, in one year, in order to be sure all the surface has the same concrete with the same age. Maximum height from the sanding of the concrete, just to place concrete at the floor and just control it is not sanded by a high levels because it will be crushed of the contents of the concrete. The vibration is another unit very important. We have to guarantee our steel are covered by concrete and we have to vibrate the concrete in our floor. In some cases, if the steel are not fixed, are not sewn with the other steel, we can have these pictures, we can have the steel up to the concrete. We have to regulate it and fix it before to finish the extended and the surface of the concrete. Joints in some cases are necessary, so if we can't change it or if we can't program concrete in one day, we have to take care where the joint is going to be, where joints are programmed and where joints are well calculated in order to don't reduce the resistance of the floor. In all cases, the joints will have an adhesive, a stick that will guarantee the connection between old concrete and new age concrete. This is the view of our joints after the concreting, and that's a point where we will have a critical point reduce the resistance of our future floor. Joints of dilatants are previous in the project. So this kind of joints, like this one we can see here, is a longitudinal dilatants joint for floors aren't completely defined in project. In this case, the detail allows just a movement in one axis in our floor. That's an easy system and a very nice system that guarantees to you and reduce to duplicate both pillars in some case of structures. The concrete treatment is an easy operation we can do, and we will guarantee we will have no little crashes in our surface. It's an easy thing and we have to do it because if not, concrete, we will lose the quantity of water it has since the beginning. Take out the steel forms is operated, we have to divide it in two places. The forms, wood or steel forms, are supporting the concrete. So after a few days we can take out, but we will still have the props in order to support not only our floor, if not the other levels who are up our floor. Until we will have this kind of side without steel, without props, we will have to continue this auxiliary structure supporting the floor until the normative lets to us, depending on the weather, depending on the levels of the building, and we will be ready to take out in order to put on our floor in church. Last verifications just mean just to make a last review of our structure in order to be sure our structure is finished, our floor is completely well done, well concreting, and the surface is straight and ready to continue with the next unit. Thank you very much.